This timeout is sponsored by Augie's Locker Room. Augie's features the largest collection of Notre Dame football memorabilia and gifts, including rare and hard-to-find items.
Hey, this is Augie, Augie's Locker Room. Website, augieslockerroom.com. Visit us here or the website.
Tim Prister with Tim O'Malley and John Brice here for Irish Illustrated following Notre Dame's 13th practice of the preseason. We had 5 periods to watch, and then we spoke with all the specialists, including special teams coach Marty Biagi. Going into this, Tim, I didn't think we were going to learn everything, kick returner, punt returner, kickoff, etc., but I think we did.
Yeah, well, we knew the long snapper going in, of course, in Milk, but it seems that Tyree has won the punt return job. He did talk about Salerno and Greathouse and added Mickey and Faison, but he certainly seemed like they were going with Tyree for all the work Tyree put in the offseason, and he won it in camp. Kickoff specialist is Spencer Schrader. I thought that might still be going on, a 3-way battle. McPherson was not even in the battle. The punter is McPherson. Kick return, it's a good thing we followed up. That one doesn't sound totally set, but Chris Tyree and Devin Ford are the two involved.
He said Ford first, and that was something
he did, yes.
that I felt like I was tipped off in interviewing Marcus Freeman this summer when he mentioned part of the reason they liked Devin Ford was what he could do on kick returns.
Yeah, and that's I'm sure that I talked about the devaluing of kickoff returns. It will still be a situation. You fair catch it if you can get to the 25. If you're going against a decent kickoff coverage unit, if you see something they can exploit, they're going to try to hit it. But you still only get 1 or 2 chances a game because there's so many touchbacks these days.
John, you had an opportunity to get some extended time with Marty Biagi. He had a lot to say. As I said, he revealed a lot of the specialists that Notre Dame will have this year, but some of the insight that he provided with you.
Yeah, first and foremost, Marty Biagi just is so glad to be at Notre Dame, and we've touched on this before, and we'll touch on it some more, but I've actually seen the photo of a 3-year-old Marty Biagi dressed up in a Reggie Ho uniform in his backyard in Shelbyville, imitating Reggie Ho's form and trying to kick like Reggie Ho. It's a huge reason that Marty went on to become a kicker at Marshall. And so he just exudes a very grateful approach about being at Notre Dame. And he told me even today, he said, look, I've been here now 8 or 9 months. I still make it a point weekly to get by the grotto by myself, to just walk by Notre Dame Stadium by myself, to just walk by the Golden Dome by myself. It just resonates so much with him, which his players then in turn told me about today too. They said, Coach Biagi really instills in us what it means to be a Notre Dame man. I thought that was fascinating. Another thing that Marty Biagi does that I do want to point out, he has an ISO cam on his kicker that just shows the hold and the strike of the ball. It's not a drill I personally have noticed before until he brought it here, and he talked about the benefits of that. Spencer Schrader talked to me about the benefits of that. There's a lot of detail involved there.
Marty Biagi, that was only part of the conversation. And of course, Marty Biagi was here in 2016, and he wanted to stay here in 2016, had to take a circuitous route to get back to Notre Dame, but I know that he's happy about that. We did have an opportunity to see 5 periods of practice. Audric Estime back in action from Tuesday night. Jabron Payne back in action from Tuesday night. And we were wondering exactly what they would show today if they wanted to keep that left guard, right guard situation up in the air, and apparently not. As we saw on Tuesday night, Pat Coogan at left guard with the number 1s and Rocco Spindler at right guard.
And Spindler, I think, has been there a little longer, maybe 2 weeks, and Coogan has moved in the last week. It is definitely Pat Coogan at left guard with Zeke Carell. And at this point, you need continuity as well, so I think all the evaluations have ended for that. That would be a major surprise in camp. The surprise is lessened over the last 4 days because we've only seen Coogan and been told it was Coogan. But yeah, going into camp, I would not have guessed that. But we should point out that, Tim, prior to maybe this spring, you always heard good things about Pat Coogan earning a job. It was this spring when Billy Schroff kind of started to emerge, and we just figured he would be the starter. But Coogan had put himself in position a year and a half ago to possibly win a job. He just didn't against those veterans.
Coogan and Ashton Craig were two of the names that I heard during the season last year. And JB, I know that you don't necessarily think that these are permanent moves, but that's who they're going to start with. But you think that the competition could still be open a little bit moving forward.
Yeah, I think this is a coaching staff that is very much preaching competition that doesn't end just because camp ends on Saturday. And so obviously that's the starting 5 that they're going with on the offensive line right now. But then they'll reevaluate those guys after they play in Dublin, Ireland against Navy to open the season. I would note that Gabriel Rubio today had a very dominant rep against Andrew Kristofic, and I think that just sort of shows how that battle has continued to unfold. And Charles Jagasaw, I found out it is Jog more than Jag, he's continued to press as well. So again, I still think there's important battles to be done at the 6, 7, and 8 spots along that Notre Dame offensive line.
That's now the third pronunciation of Jagasaw
Yeah,
that we have, so we're going to have to learn that. You know, the other night I talked a lot about Merriweather and Colsey at wide receiver, and I think some people thought that I was saying that they weren't going to contribute at all this year, and perhaps it sounded that way. Merriweather came out with the number ones. The point being, they need those two to step up and be deep threats and be consistent football players for them, and they weren't the other night. But certainly the opportunities are there. Tobias Merriweather has barely scratched the surface of his time at Notre Dame, and he will get every opportunity to emerge as one of the frontline guys, as a starter. They need him. He's a quality athlete, and hopefully he can continue to press. That's it from Notre Dame Stadium. Tim O'Malley to my left, John Brice to my right. I'm Tim Priester, and we are Irish Illustrated.